This is All India Radio. In the program Money Talk, now we bring you an exclusive interview with Rupesh Kumar Thakur, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Labour and Employment, on G20 Employment Working Group meeting. The interviewer is Lalima Aneja Dang, AIR correspondent.
As we all know that India is holding presidency of the G20 countries this year, indeed a watershed moment for us. While many meetings on various aspects are being held in different parts of the country. The first meeting of Employment Working Group is taking place in Jodhpur from 2nd to 4th February, and the Ministry of Labour is the nodal for it. We are now talking to Mr. Rupesh Kumar Thakur, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Labour and Employment, to give us an update and talking about this event. Welcome, sir, to All India Radio. What is the agenda proposed for the forthcoming G20 Employment Working Group meeting, which is going to be held in Jodhpur?
So, thank you very much, madam, for asking me this question. First of all, I will tell you that this is Employment Working Group, and this comes under SERPA track. So, there are various working groups which are under SERPA track. And the mandate of Employment Working Group is to address key labor issues and key employment issues. So this time we have chosen three priority issues. So the first priority issue is regarding addressing global skill gaps, and the second is gig and platform economy and social protection, and the third is sustainable financing of the social securities. Now I will also tell you why we have chosen these priority issues. Now the first is addressing global skill gaps. Now what is happening is that you see a lot of mega trends are developing. Like the first mega trend is demographic transitioning. I mean, you see that many of the developed countries, they are having demographic deficits. I mean, they have shortages of skilled labor, skilled manpower, skilled labor force, because most of their population is on the verge of aging. They are aging. Whereas you see in many countries there are demographic surpluses. So this is one of the mega trends. Other mega trends are you see Industry 4, Web 3. So new technologies are emerging like AI, machine learning. So the traditional skilling thing is getting outdated, and skilling is required in these fields now. Other mega trend is that we are now moving towards green jobs. So from the traditional to green jobs. So what is happening that all these mega trends have, what it has done is that we require new kind of skills. Due to this, the traditional skills, and there are shortages of skills in various countries, skilled manforce. So what we want to address these issues. We want to know what is the skill gap in various sectors in various countries. We want that there should be global skill gap analysis, and we want to address this major challenge. So first is this. Now the second is gig and platform economy. Now you see the gig and platform economy is also emerging, and during the COVID period it emerged like anything because it gives flexibility. It transcends beyond the limitations of work time and workspace, and it has given a lot of opportunities to the persons, especially the women and the vulnerable sections, the persons with disability. So it has, in a way, it is increasing the labor force participation in our economy. It is integrating the vulnerable section to the labor market. However, there are a lot of challenges also, because in this sector, you see, in the gig economy and in the platform economy, the relationship between the employer and employee is not defined. It is not traditional. It is non-traditional. It is unconventional, because it is governed by individual contract agreements. And because many of the employers call them as partners, delivery agents, like that, they don't treat them as employees. So providing social protection to them has become a challenge. And if we want to achieve the goal of universal and comprehensive social protection, then we'll have to provide social protection to these large chunk of people. So we have chosen this, that how we will deliberate among the G20 countries on how we are going to give social protection to these chunk of people. So that is why we have chosen this, the second theme. Now the third is sustainable financing of the social security. You see, we have to provide social security to all. As I said, universal and comprehensive social security. 100%, providing 100% universal means providing social security to 100% of the workers is our goal. But to provide them financing, and that too sustainable and resilient financing, is the key to providing universal social security. Now we will deliberate on how to provide it. Like if there are organized sector, then we can provide it through social insurance methods. Like we can take contribution from the employers and employees, and we can provide them the social security. But where there are a lot of informal sector, we'll have to go for tax financed measures also, that is called social assistance programs. So what kind of mix should be there? Suppose in developing countries, if there are a lot of informal sector, then we'll have to go for the tax finance scheme, whether it is sustainable or not, what kind of mix should be there, how much we should go for the social insurance scheme, how much we should go for the social assistance program. So these aspects will be discussed. And I think financing of social security scheme is a challenge not only for India or other developing country, but it is also a challenge for the developed countries also, and it is a challenge across the globe. That is why we have chosen these three very important topics, and this will be deliberated, and we will try to achieve concrete outcomes on these three issues.
Right, sir. When we talk of employment nowadays, instantly we talk of skills, and India has a huge demographic dividend, as you just mentioned, with 50% of its population below 25 years and 65% below 35 years. And compared that to the developed nations, as you just mentioned, they have a negative growth or a stagnant population growth. To convert our population, our young population to be specific, into an asset, we need to skill them, we need to upskill them. Are we prepared for that? Are we all set to go for that? And my corollary question to that would be, during the pandemic which just happened, about 75 million full-time jobs were lost because they were forced to, some because they didn't want to do full-time jobs anymore. Are we all prepared to harness those existing talents which are there with us?
It's a very important and pertinent question you have asked. You see, you said that we have got demographic dividend, but we need to harness this dividend. You see, our first priority area is addressing global skill gaps. Now, first of all, we need to know where the manpower, where the workers are required, where there is shortages. What kind of skills should we impart to these, workers, so that they can avail these labor force, so that they can avail the job opportunities. That is why we have taken the first priority area. What we want to know is the skill shortages across the sectors in the various countries. And suppose we know that, and I already told you about the mega trends like which is developing, like AI, machine language, technological advancement, lot of digitization is there. So in what sector we need to skill them, that should be known, and as per the need we should provide skill, we should impart skill to the population, to our workers. So that is one thing we should focus on. The second thing which is very important is harmonization of skills. Now what is happening is that suppose there are jobs outside, but maybe from some worker from India or someone from some job seeker from India may not get that job because there is no harmonization, because the skills required in that country, he may not be having that skill. So he may not get that job. What we are focusing on in this G20 summit is also harmonization of skills, harmonization of qualification. That qualification required for a particular job should be same in various countries, or the skills or the taxonomies also should be same. Suppose we call someone a plumber in our country, and in another country he or she may not be called a plumber. They may be calling them as plumber grade 1 or grade 2 or grade 3. So a sort of uniform taxonomy should also be there. First of all, is taxonomy should be there. Second thing is skilling should be harmonized. I mean, a plumber, what skill a plumber should be having should be same across the globe. And third thing is qualification, which is a bunch of, qualification means bunch of skills. That should also be harmonized. And the ultimate thing is mutual recognition of skills, mutual recognition of certifications. So if all these things happen, then across the globe, the workers can avail the opportunities. So my point is that we should train our workers in such a fashion that they can avail opportunity in India also, and they can avail opportunity across the globe also. So that is the entire narrative.
Yeah, when I talk about our young population becoming an asset to our country, also to the rest of the world. And we do know that a lot many doctors are there in the US and UK, Indian doctors, and a lot of our nurses go to the UAE and like that. So we do provide a lot of skills, but we need to skill and upskill them. My next question is also related to this. You talked about qualifications. What about cross-country certification? Are we ready for that? Is that also on the agenda?
Yes, definitely. The harmonization, I just talked about the harmonization aspect. This is like our certificates should be recognized by them, and their certificates should be recognized by us. And if there is harmonization, then everything becomes very smooth. So harmonization is very much on the agenda, and we want that a concrete framework should be developed on the harmonization aspect. It may take time, definitely it will take time. time, but at least we should moot it, and a basic framework on harmonization aspects should be developed.
Right, because I know a few students who will take up a course which is set up by a foreign university in India will find that it is not being recognized in other universities in India.
Yes.
It will be only recognized in the country of origin abroad. So all those things, nitty-gritties need to be sorted.
What is our theme is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Entire world is, so there should be one future of entire earth. That is the funda.
Absolutely.
So we have to think globally and in a broad perspective.
Absolutely. So when we talk about skills and we talk about, as I said, when you think of employment, you think of skills. We also know that globally unemployment has gone up, especially after the pandemic. Is there any process, is there any way we can skill map through a portal or through an app? I know it's happening within India very strongly, but on the global front, are we all geared up for that? So that cross-cultural, what is deficient in one country, maybe we can just handhold and crisscross across.
Yeah, definitely. And this is one of our deliverables, International Skill Gap Portal. That is one of our very concrete deliverables which we want to achieve. And we are collaborating with ILO also in this endeavor. And first of all, we'll make a portal at the national level, and then we are trying for international portal, so that on a real-time basis we should be able to know how much skill gap is available in what sector, in which country. So this is very much on the agenda, and we are going to discuss on this in our G20 deliberation.
So whatever is deficient in one country, other has a surplus they can send, and vice versa.
It is not just about sending, it is also about skilling and upskilling and reskilling to your workforce also. So how they are going to source the workforce is, it depends on the country itself. They can get it from their country itself, they can get it from other countries also. So there has to be a concept of global workforce.
When we talk of workforce, there is also a gap between higher education. When children come out of their education, they're not job ready. Is there any proposal that are we going to work in that sector? That is why when children, or students rather, when they come out of the education institutions, they're given a 6-month training period because they're simply not clued in or tuned into the jobs. The industry, they're not industry ready. Any progress?
So what is happening is education and the skill. Both these sectors should not work in silos. That is a general concept prevailing.
Absolutely.
They must work in a syncretic manner. There should be full synchronization between these two sectors. So what we are doing, there is separate education working group also. Ours is the employment working group, other is the education working group. So what we are doing, that we have called their participation also in our group. There can be a synergy among these two sectors. So what we are planning is also a joint session between these two sectors, so that skilling and education can be synchronized. So that is our proposal.
Another relevant point is, as you mentioned initially, that gig and platform workers is a topic you're going to be discussing. So the pandemic has thrown open new areas where you need to probably, which never existed before, like the gig and platform workers. This is one area which needs to be pondered over, especially we need out-of-box solutions for this because it has never happened before at that level. How do you propose to sort the potential and to finance gig workers? How are you going to work it out globally?
No, you asked financing of the gig and social security scheme of gig and platform worker. If you see our priority areas, all are interlinked actually. Our second priority area is gig and platform worker and the social security. The third is sustainable financing of the social security scheme.
Right.
They are interlinked. All the agendas are interlinked. You see, in our code, what we have done in the social security code, we are going to set up social security fund. And through social security fund, we are going to finance the social security scheme of gig and platform workers. The fund will comprise of the contributions which we will get from the platforms, and there are a lot of offences also which are compounded. The money which will come from the compounding will also form the part. The central and state government will also contribute. So the social security fund will be set up, and then we'll chalk out a scheme for the gig and platform workers, and we'll finance them from the social security fund. The third priority is sustainable funding, and not only sustainable, it has to be resilient also. Resilient means suppose some crisis happens like COVID had occurred, but the funding should not stop.
Right.
It should sustain. So it has to be sustainable also and resilient also. That is why we have taken the third priorities. So all the aspects we have taken care. It will be inclusive, ambitious, decisive and action oriented. Then the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam will be followed in letters and spirit.
So let's hope that this G20 meeting, we hope that it will take the country a step forward in becoming a Vishwa Guru, as our Honorable Prime Minister often mentions.
Yes.
Thank you very much for talking to All India Radio.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
You were listening to an exclusive interview with Rupesh Kumar Thakur, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Labour and Employment, on G20 Employment Working Group meeting. The interviewer was Lalima Neja Dang, AIR correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.